So we do. All right. Good morning, you guys. Appreciate you guys taking the time to be on and transitioning from the FS meeting. Had another solid week this week, which we'll talk about. And as the contest for the Cancun program is heating up, Mr. Wetzel is running away with it, but we'll have the official numbers out there with only 3 weeks left. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this thing, and then Renee is on deck. She'll be talking about how to help position your client, put them in the right space, if you will. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So if we have anybody new on here, they kind of understand the protocol. All right. I think we got somebody else that just tried to jump on. There we go. Okay, cool. All right. So UHL, United Home Life, for most of us across the country, are going to be writing United Home Life and not United Farm Family. They're doing for this month, the month of September, any production that you write will double for you to win a contest to be able to go on an Alaskan cruise in 2023. Again, this will be posted in Slack pretty much daily over the next several days. Obviously, we have about 20 days left of the month. So anybody that's interested in going to beautiful Alaska, your production will count. Mr. Gregory Pitts, as you guys saw in Slack yesterday, did 55, basically 5,600. All of it was with, I just saw this this morning, as a matter of fact, but all of this was with UHL. So if you think about that, he's over $10,000 in double production with them, barring that business gets issued for sure. So pretty neat trip that they're offering there. Family business. I actually had a couple of our teammates reach out this week about family business. Again, guys, it's okay to write it, but at the same time, make sure that you let us know ahead of time, and that business will be as earned. For those of you guys, a couple of you, the two that called me are actually on this call right now. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for doing the right thing. It helps us continue to write clean business. It helps your business stay on the books, etc. All right, the Blitz. I'm going to continue to mention this at least for over the next couple of weeks. If you are interested in going to the Blitz in either Milwaukee or San Diego, again, the Blitz in Milwaukee is October 3rd to the 8th. You just need to let us know that you're wanting to attend that. We'll get you on the list and make sure that you have enough leads, etc. And if you decide to go down to beautiful San Diego, I highly, highly, highly recommend that you speak Spanish. You're about 3 or 4 hours away from Mexico down there. It's going to be a very heavily Spanish-speaking area, and we just want to make sure we're putting you in a spot to be successful. That one is the 3rd through the 7th, the 3rd through the 10th of October, so they'll both be going on roughly at the same time. Again, if you're interested in let us know. We'll make sure you have entry into the Fall Blitz, Milwaukee or San Diego. Again, we have our daily meeting from 8 to 8:30. You guys were just on that. And Holden Haskell has just puts on a fantastic meeting. If you guys are not attending these meetings, you're missing out. He just goes over all kinds of things that will help you even if you're a seasoned agent, some things that just a different perspective. We'll continue to post that every single week, but Holden Haskell holds his final expense training meeting. And he held one over, I think it was the hospital indemnity plan that he talked about with GTL just earlier this week, which was fantastic. As we continue to mention, AEP is here, annual enrollment period. For those of you guys that want to do Medicare, there is still time for you to do that. If you're interested in that, just send me a Slack message and say, hey, I'm interested in doing Medicare. We can get you set up, help you get through the testing, and so you can get fired up and get ready to go for this AEP season. Last couple things here. We're going to swing to Renee. Well, I'll come back to the numbers. We'll swing to Renee. But again, the Cancun contest is only about 3 weeks left, and Cody Wetzel is kicking butt and taking names. We've got a lot of other names that are starting to appear and move up the leaderboard very quickly. I will have that out this weekend. I'll be spending some time in the field myself this weekend, but I will definitely have that out this weekend. Renee, you are on deck here. Renee, as you guys know, a partner here, somebody that's been very successful in her short insurance career, very high producer at our practice company, and is building a successful agency here alongside of writing a lot of business as well. So Renee is going to talk to us today about how to put your client in the right program. So Renee, let me come out here. The floor is yours. Let me let these couple people in.
Okay, guys, good morning, everyone. So a lot of people ask how do you know what product to put your client in? And there's a couple of things that I use as what I call mainstays. So you're going to have one-off situations where you have specific clients that ask for specific things, but in general, you're going to have specific details that you need to focus on. The first one being under 50 and over 50. Traditionally, if they are under, so there's a comment that I use with my clients sometimes when I'm explaining to them the difference of, term and whole life. You should be adding that in your presentation. But the way I look at it is under 50 is if you die, over 50 is when you die. So essentially, those that are under 50, you should be asking them, what are your goals with the coverage you're looking to do today? Do they have a mortgage? Is it a husband and wife situation, or a single parent and children where they have a mortgage? And if the main breadwinner were to pass away, they might lose the house. If they're under 50 and that's the scenario, then you may need to think about right now doing a term product that will cover the mortgage in the current situation, but utilize a product that can allow for conversion to whole life at near the end of the term. Usually it's like 5 years before the end of the term, or age 70, whichever comes first, you can convert it over to a whole life policy. So under 50, and while they have the mortgage on the home, it's if you die, we want to make sure this house pays off. But once we're nearing the end, it's now when you die, we need to have enough to cover the final expenses. So you're either going to put them in a situation where you have they anticipate that they're going to pay the house off early. So maybe you do a 15-year term as opposed to a 20 or 30, and then put them in, say, an additional $10,000 whole life policy, 10 or 15,000 to cover final expenses later. That way they get to take advantage of a temporary product with the extra coverage while they have the majority of the mortgage, but they still have something locked in at their current age for later on down the road for their final expenses. Now, if they're over 50, the only time you should really be writing term, you may have a one-off situation where a client says, I really just, my parents had term, my grandparents had term, they're just stuck on this, but say they're 55 years old. It's your job to explain to them, we can do that. We absolutely can do that if that's what you're set on. But I just want to make sure you understand the scenario that you're in now. At age 55, you're only going to be able to do, you can do a 30-year term, but you're now going to be 85 years old, and nobody knows what health problems are going to come up between now and then. Nobody, and by the time you're 85 years old, insurance is going to be so much more expensive by then that the likeliness of you being able to have some coverage for your final expenses is pretty low. So it's your job to make sure that you're explaining the urgency of having something to last until the end and being able to take advantage of the current health and the current age that you are in. You're never going to be as young or as healthy as you are today. So, but there's a situation where you may not want to do whole life. So let's say you go through and you're asking your clients what the goals are. Okay, so we've already checked off mortgage protection is not a goal here. They know that they want whole life. Okay, say we're at this point. They know they want whole life, but maybe if they're under 65, maybe they've heard about the cash value. And that's kind of what sticks out when you ask them what their goals is. Well, I heard whole life has cash value that I can borrow against. Between the age of 50 or under 50 and then up through age 60, 65-ish, sometimes there's an opportunity for an IUL. Now, this isn't going to be an every time situation, but let's say you're sitting with a client that has a little bit more income. You've already kind of gone through the fact that they have Social Security, they've got a pension coming in. So they're sitting kind of pretty at this point. You wouldn't necessarily do this for somebody that's low income, because an IUL can fluctuate as they age. But for somebody that has a little bit more solid income every month and they're focusing on cash value, you have an opportunity at that particular moment to offer an IUL. An IUL allows them to be able to accelerate their cash value, and you can build it separate of the death benefit. So what is their goal? Is their goal to get the cash value? Is their goal to have a death benefit? Is their goal to leave a legacy for a family? So you're going to want to determine if their income doesn't allow for an IUL. You are absolutely every single time with low income going to write a whole life policy. It's going to be locked in for life. It's never going to change on them. They know exactly what they have and what to expect for the end till the end of time. But if they are sitting in a better situation, you have the opportunity, like I said, to do the IUL that's going to accelerate the cash value, and you can build it to where it's separate of the death benefit, so they can accomplish several goals in one. Have immediate cash value that they can pull from throughout their life. So they've got a life benefit within that product. Then they've got the death benefit that's locked in as well. Then on top of that, if anything happens to them, they have a great situation in terms of leaving a legacy, because not only is the death benefit going to be paid out, but so is the cash value. So it really starts, just to recap, with your goals. What are the client's goals? Is it to pay off a house if something happens to them immediately? Is it to cover if they die right now? Or is it long-term? Is it cash value? Is it a legacy to their family? And what financial situation are they in? Those are the main factors that you need to be considering when you choose a product. So we have one of the carriers that we used to use for IULs, we don't really go to anymore. So we do have F&G, we do have NLG, and I think there's one or two other companies that we have that offer them as well. But you do need to learn the product before you try to sell it, because there's several ways to build an IUL. That being said, if you are at a point where you're new to all of this and you're just getting your feet wet with final expense and maybe a term here or there, I would recommend that you reach out to your upline, or reach out to me or even Gregory Pitts. He's great at IULs. You know, somebody that has experience, and kind of get a little bit of guidance before you try to write them. All of us are willing to help and support you at any time, but just always start with the client's goals. What do they want to accomplish with this coverage today? What is the main goal? Ultimately, an IUL in whole life is going to give you renewals and residual income. Term products are not going to offer that for you, but ultimately we want to do what's best for the client. You're going to know what that is based on the client's goals and then the income that they have. That's pretty much the gist of it. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thanks, Renee. So great. First of all, great job. Very succinct, very to the point, and right on task as usual. I have a quick question for you. This might help a few people. When you're going through, obviously you're building a rapport, as Ben was talking about both Thursday and today. You're building rapport with the client. You go through and you start asking the questions about their health and, you know, who's the person that's going to pick up the pieces when they pass away, et cetera. When do you get to the point to where you're starting to determine where to position them?
So in my presentation, you know, I'm just going to run down because I'll miss a step if I don't do this. So I start with, you know, building a little rapport, the difference between an agent and a broker, why I do this. And then I go into the 3 reasons why they filled out the card. That's number 1. Why did they fill out the card? That's intent number 1. So usually it's going to be because they don't have any coverage, or they're looking to add a little bit more. Why are they looking to add a little bit more? What's the goal there? And then, or they just want to leave a legacy to somebody. Okay, that's your next tip right there. And so when they give me their reasons, I do something a little bit different before I jump into, have you ever been responsible for a funeral? You know, when they tell me what their reason is, I usually ask them to elaborate a little bit. What is okay, when you say that you'd like to add a little bit extra to what you currently have, why would you like to do that? What would you like to see happen with this coverage today? And let them talk, let them tell you what they're wanting to do. So you're going to determine a lot of that right in the beginning. Then you're going to go into, have you ever been responsible for a funeral before? This is going to help you be able to bring out some emotion. If they've been responsible for a funeral before, you're going to be able to ask them, well, what was that like? Did you guys have insurance, or did you not have insurance? And how did that affect you? Okay, and when you pass away, who's going to be the person that picks up the pieces and takes care of things in your situation? They're going to tell you that. Okay, well, what does that look like for them? What would we like to accomplish with this today to be able to help them in that situation? Do they work full time? Do they have a family of their own? If they have a family of their own, it would probably pretty difficult for them to come up with this money on their own later on. So again, you know that they want to make sure they have enough to cover the funeral, and they will tell you, plus I'd like to leave a little extra. Okay, so a legacy is part of the goal here. So I would start there. And then when you get to your questions, I'm going to ask you 2 to 3 minutes worth of finance questions, 2 to 3 minutes worth of health questions. The first thing I'm going to hit is the finance questions. I'm going to get the uncomfortable questions out of the way first, because some people are nervous about their finances. So one thing I ask is, okay, so now just ballpark it for me, but what's your ballpark monthly income? I remember you mentioned, you were disabled earlier in our conversation. Are you on Social Security? Okay, and do you have any pension or anything else coming in? You're getting an idea of the income. So you have to know the income to know what you're working with. Once you know the income, you can kind of start building a plan. And if you know they're wanting to add a legacy along with the fact that they have maybe a Social Security and a pension coming in, then there may be an opportunity for you to do an IUL and sell them on the cash value to be able to have a life benefit and a legacy benefit.
Well said. That's awesome. Been very.
Can I add two things by chance, Corey?
You absolutely can. That's what we're here. Thanks, Cody.
Dude, you killed it, Renee. So two of the things I write a lot of IULs too, but I don't have any of my carriers over here with us, so I don't post them. But one of the biggest factors that I come across is the health. So a lot of agents have called me from other teams asking for help on IULs, and they want to know the front to the back, how to start it, what to get, who they need to get contracted with when they're going to go in a house, because the client might have said over the phone or something that they have a 401k or an IRA. But one of the biggest things is you need to verify the health. If they've had a heart attack, they've had something serious, they're not going to qualify most likely for the IUL.
So here's how you look at that. And I'm just going to cut it down and make it easy for you. Yeah. Most of us know that you've got to be healthy to qualify for term, right? So
no, I understand, Renee. I was trying to give
I mean for everybody else, not for you, Cody.
Okay.
You know this.
Okay.
But because you brought it up, I want to make sure that anybody newer on here might know as well. If they qualify for term, then they'll qualify for the IUL in most cases.
Yeah. And then the second thing I was going to state is on the Royal Neighbors, if there's a client, like she was saying at the beginning, that wants term, but you also want to find something for their whole life as well, they have the dual application, dual quoter, where you can do both at once. Yeah. And it'll break down their whole life and their term, and it gives you all the options, all the riders, all the benefits are already built into that. So that's a really good option as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Cody.
Yeah, well said, you guys. Hey, guys, if you guys aren't using something like this in the home, this is still the one from FFL. We have our own on our website. It literally has on here so that you don't miss anything. I know when I do this, I just, as Renee mentioned, hey, I'm going to ask you a couple minutes of finance questions. I'm going to ask you a couple minutes of health questions, and that's going to determine the direction we go. As I mentioned a little bit ago, there's a big difference between being a broker and an agent. You remember that? And they're going to say, yeah, making them feel comfortable. And I just go down the list. And if they start to, you're looking for some of these cues, as Ben talks about, looking at some of the things that how people say things or what they say. As I'm reading through these, heart attack, stroke, TIA, cancer, stents, diabetes, neuropathy, high blood pressure, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, asthma. Now, of course, I'm going much slower but if they say diabetes, I'm going to circle diabetes really big on here. And then I'm going to come back to it. I'm not going to have them dig into diabetes yet, because if they start telling me they're taking medications, I want them to go get those medications for a visual. They're taking 8, 9, 10 medications, you guys. I'll stack all those pills up in a pyramid in front of them, because I want that to be really big. And then when you get to the point where you get ready to, hey, I'm going to put this in our quoting system. As I mentioned, I work with 20 plus companies. I'm going to put this in my quoting system, and it's going to tell me what percentage you are to get X carrier, right? You're already factoring in your mind. If they've told you they had diabetes, let's say they said they had COPD and high blood pressure, you're already starting to figure out in your head, if that's all they got, if they're being truthful, which carrier to go to. We all do that. But if you're not using a visual, like, I don't care what you use, it's gonna be a piece of paper and you write it out. If you're not using some type of visual like this, you really are missing out. Awesome stuff, Renee, and thank you, Cody. Any other questions for Renee? Awesome job, Renee. Awesome job.
Hey,
thank you.
I will
Yeah.
say real quick, Renee, great job. I picked up under 50. If you die over 50,
I
when
wrote
you
that
die.
down too.
That was solid.
Yeah, that was good. Very good. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go over the numbers for those of you guys that like to stay. Cody, be careful driving. And thank you again, Renee. Appreciate it. Much appreciated. All right, I'm going to share my screen again. Actually, I'm going to do this because I need to see my mug. All right. Okay, looks like I'm working there. There we go. And numbers. Very good. So as I mentioned, Cody is pulling away here with the Cancun contest. We will have the numbers. I promise you guys we'll get the numbers out here this weekend. That being said, in reference to strings, the list just continues to grow. And you guys know I just love giving recognition where it needs to be. People are out there working their butts off, and sometimes that pat on the back, we feel like we don't need it, but it is necessary, part of human nature, right? So we've got Miss Naomi Gomez at 2 weeks, Charles Schulman 2 weeks, myself 2 weeks. We got Mr. Matthew Tolbert 4 weeks, Andrea 4 weeks, Crystal Roark 4 weeks. Our 5-week agents, Jeff Scott, Michael Salazar, Colton Kelly, Josh Dutton. 6 weeks in a row, having had a huge day before yesterday. Mr. Pitts, his record day at 56.90, 6-week app string. Mr. Robert Golden, Mr. Consistency here, 6-week app string. Justin A, 7 weeks. Donnie Young, 7 weeks with the Bearded Biker. Josh Sullivan, 7 weeks in a row. Brendan Presley, 8 weeks in a row that he's protected at least one family. Alex D, 8 weeks in a row. Ryan V, 10 weeks, going closer and closer to that 13 weeks. Congratulations, Ryan. Mr. Cody Wetzel, though, 12 weeks, stepping 1 week away from hitting a quarter of protecting at least one family a week. Well done there, Cody. We got ETE at 14 weeks, and the boss, as Gregory Pitts calls her, 72 weeks in a row. Even with the transition over here 14 weeks ago, Renee has still managed to protect at least one family in that time frame, and is now kicking butt and taking names with Medicare and annuities as well. Congratulations to you, Renee. 72 weeks in a row, 21 teammates on strings. In reference to our numbers for last week, obviously this week is still going. Again, we'll go from bottom up. We got Miss Vanessa D inking her one of her first MAPDs or Medicare. We've got Terry Durr getting in the mix at 426, Crystal 538, Tim Van Summeren at 613 getting on the board, Matthew Tolbert at 1,030, Naomi $1,118, one family protected, Jeff Scott 1,248, Mr. Below took a trip there to Greene County over there in Springfield and wrote 1,279 with 2 families protected. Jared Johnson gets his first policy, 1,379. Salazar at 1,630 also took a travel trip to Springfield as well, 2 families protected. Josh Sullivan, 1,663. Justin A, 1,681. Alex D, 19. Here we go. All right. All right, let me get back here, guys. Too many phone calls. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to Alex. 19. What in the world is going on here? Technology. All right, let's go back to Justin. 1,681, 2 families protected. Alex D, 1,914, 3 families protected. Donnie Young, 1985, 3 families protected, ETE 2336, solid week there. 3 families, myself at 2910. Robert Golden, $3,125, 3 families protected to crack our top 10. Congratulations, Robert, for a solid week last week. We got Mr. Gregory Pitts, 3736. And again, another 5,600 this week. So solid week last week and this week, Gregory, 3736. We got Miss Renee Barker, guys, 3933 with 9 Medicare last week. Holy smokes. Great job, Renee. And coming in a number 8 spot. Josh Dutton, 4162, 4 families protected. Ryan getting in the mix with the annuities. Congratulations, Ryan. I think that's your second or third one that you've written in the past couple of weeks. Coming to number 6, 4653 with an annuity and a family protected. Colton Kelly, $6,128, 5 families protected to crack the top 5. Charles Showman, 6286, 7 families. Cody Wetzel, $6,776, 7 total families protected to crack into the top 3 as usual. Congratulations there, Cody. And then we got Miss Andrea Cobathan, $9,828, 7 families protected for a record week for Andrea. And then Brendan Presley just knocked the ball out of the park, 12,304 with 11 total families protected. That brings our total last week to submitted business, $82,681 with an annuity written, 91 total families protected. For this week, so far, obviously, we're getting ready to get into weekend warrior time. Number 4, Robert Golden. Again, another fantastic week, Robert. Congratulations. 3,350, 4 families protected. The bearded biker leader, Donnie Young, 4,303, 5 families protected. Gregory Pitts, as I mentioned, 5,590, all with UHL. So he's getting a double production towards that trip to Alaska with 2 families protected there. And here she is again, Renee Barker, number 2, 5,741, 3 families protected, and Medicare and 2 annuities. Fantastic week, Renee. Congratulations. And not to be outdone by Renee, but Mr. Charles Shulman, 6421, another solid week by Charles with 9 total families protected. So those are our numbers for the week. Again, we will get everybody updated here and get that video out there on YouTube and get it out to you guys for the Cancun contest, which Cody is pulling away with. We appreciate all you guys do. Thank you guys for taking the time to be on. Good luck this weekend. If you need anything, you guys know we're here. Bye for now.